Greetings, Earthlings. Welcome to another edition of Oh Man, That's Awful, coming to you from the luxurious studios of Radio Titans in Los Angeles. As always, I'm one of your co-hosts, Carl Kozlowski, and with me is...
I'm Kevin Corcoran.
And our sound wizard,
Dr. David Robinson.
And so today, folks, hold on to your hats. It's going to be a crazy one. We have with us one of Los Angeles's and probably America's greatest storytellers. He is a multiple Moth champion, is also a teacher of storytelling, and numerous students of his have gone on to win the Moth. And so he's got just an absolutely insane life. Not much more I can add to that. So, ladies and gentlemen, Buck Ball.
Hey, gang.
Say something crazy.
Something crazy. I'll call you an ambulance.
Oh, this is going to be good.
Is that what we're
Probably within the hour we will need one somehow.
I mean, yeah.
There's one idling in the loading zone downstairs.
But there really is, because there's a march outside for homeless, and like that applies to me on many different levels.
If I could just clarify, it's not a march for the homeless. It's a parade against homeless. Against a homeless building being built in Koreatown.
The thing that I loved about it in true Los Angeles was a parade of mostly elderly Koreans led by a mariachi band.
That's what I was wondering.
So
I had to walk past it because my lift down here was like, oh, no, there's blockage on the street. And I was like, oh, well, it's March. And then I saw a Korean mariachi band, and I was like...
Korean mariachi band?
Yes.
Wow. Oh, I thought the band was Mexican.
Wow.
Did
you see them?
Well, I did, but I didn't look that closely. I was marveling at just the presence of a mariachi.
It's like a Latino cooking in a Chinese restaurant.
Yeah,
What's the problem?
There's a mariachi kimchi reference that I can't quite marry together. Assemble
You can't
those.
quite mariachi it together.
both
That works. We'll meet you.
So, Buck, you are... Obviously, and I'm from the South myself, but you really sound like you're from the South. And so you're from Mississippi, if I'm correct. And tell us, how did you, what in your life out there that led to all the insanity that we know and love about you now today?
I mean, okay. So there's a great, I see all the George Carlin stuff on the wall, and I understand and I comprehend. Because one of my favorite things my dad said, because he kept trying to move and leave, and my mom would not. He would always say, when George Carlin would ask people where they're from, because he saw him twice in concert, and he would be like, oh, so where are you from? And then they would just shout it out, and if it was in the South predominantly, he would go, oh, that's a good place to be from. Not live.
Right.
But good place to be from.
Exactly.
On behalf of other people from the South, people have like a special place in their heart for Mississippi for being last in every category. Other states are second to last in.
I think, Arkansas state motto where I'm from was like, thank God for Mississippi.
Yeah, right.
Well, somebody's got to make
Mississippi state motto is Rudy, Rudy, Rudy.
Wow.
Actually, Mississippi state motto is somebody's got to make Arizona look good.
Okay.
I mean, we're the poorest, dumbest, youngest, pregnant, fattest, and like most obesity deaths and all that stuff. But also, like, still, people watch out for Florida man. Like that's the crazy thing is I lived in Mississippi, I lived in Georgia, I lived in Florida, I lived in Central Florida.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Oh no, I did it to myself.
Florida's just Mississippi with bath salts, basically.
And not the good kind.
No, bath salts are the state flower.
I was going to say with all those locations you just listed, it's like, how many tours did you do?
Man. It's like
that is combat. I mean, I'm a Chicago guy who lived in Missouri for 8 years in Central Illinois. So I've experienced Southern adjacent.
Oh,
but
8 years of college.
I've only driven through.
And the one thing my dad always says, which is hilarious, because my dad kind of has a love-hate relationship with the South, but my point of view is like there's no such thing as a cooler person than an open-minded Southerner.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
Because you come with manners and you come with respect and like you listen in conversation and like there's a whole point of community and hospitality, and then at the same time,
and if you know how to cook.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pointing at you.
Boy, howdy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't mess around.
Well, who could pass a sale? and that's the thing. Like, growing up in the South, it was great, and it shaped me to be who I am. Like, there's no way I would be who I am if I weren't raised by my mom. But that's the thing, is the way that I treat and handle and respond to people is automatically from that upbringing. Like, you're the Southern Rascal. Everybody wants to know a Southern Rascal until you lose $100 in a card game where you're not even playing cards. It was like, oh, what? These were business cards. How did I lose? Like, you just beat me on 3 lawyers and a doctor. Like, it's always the thing that you have to watch out for, but it's always the thing that you love because you know that they'll make it up later if they didn't already make it up. And that was where I really got into trouble, is because I found that leniency.
Mm-hmm. How'd you make it out to LA? What was that transition like?
I mean, it was either LA or New York, and when you hear Han Solo, as a Southern scoundrel, Southern rascal, when you hear Han Solo say something, you believe it. And I heard Harrison Ford say, I'd rather be poor and warm than poor and cold. So I was like, to the left coast and light speed. Let's make the parcel and however many, whatever it is.
Kessel Run.
Yeah,
12,
Kessel Run.
12 parsecs.
And I did. I took an insurance hit because whatever, I can't go. But I made some money off an insurance and an inheritance, and I was like, oh, we got to make the Kessel Run. Like, wow.
The insurance and inheritance, or as the Rastas would call it, I&I.
Well, so how long ago?
I'm moving to the coast, man.
How long ago was that?
Oh,
that's called a dry spit take.
Good thing I have all these dry sockets.
I almost spit a mouthful of mint julep all over Carl's floor.
I will. I will. Well, technically, yes. It's a Kentucky mule at this point. But, and yeah, like that was the thing is, the funnier thing about it is 4th of July is my anniversary. Like, for a Southerner who escapes and who calls like, oh, how long have you been out? Like, I always say, oh, I escaped the South in 07. Mm-hmm. And, oh, when? What's your anniversary? Oh, July 4th. Like, for a Southerner who still says, even when I get famished or whatever, I'll still say, Lord have mercy. like, oh, God, give me strength. Mm-hmm. And I still say all this stuff. I don't believe in God at all, but I love to say, God damn it. Mm-hmm. It's like one of my favorite words of all time. Like, I'll abbreviate things like, oh, God, effing damn it.
Mm-hmm. I think it'd be a great name for a dog, just because my theory on dog names is it needs to sound right in the couch. Mm-hmm. So if you just name your dog, God damn it, it's like you're skipping the step.
Well, like, here's the crazy thing is my parents I have an older sister. They raised us off of Saturday Night Live, and, like, they have a great sense of humor. My parents are funny. Like, my parents are funny and creative, and my sister...
Bless her heart.
God bless her soul. God bless her soul. She doesn't really have a sense of humor, but she owns a lot of horses, like thoroughbreds and then race horses. So she gets to, like, name them all these wild names. And the first horse she had was, I'm Gumby, damn it. And, like,
put a sawbuck on him.
Yeah. Yeah. And, like, all these funny names. Like, she has an event horse now that I got to name for her. It's called Gentlemen, Settle Down.
Oh, it's a good horse name.
There's a horse out there that can make all this right.
Wow.
And, like, she'll do that, and she'll do, like, really funny names, but when we sit around the table and laugh, like, it's maybe lost, but then she'll name a horse, and it's like, well, where were you? Because my dad also loved to name animals. Southern Rascal was my first dog. Mm-hmm. It was a white that lived outside and was always getting dirty, and he named it Southern Rascal. He's like, well, he lives in the South, don't he? It's like, okay, that's fine. And then I go back later years and I find out that my dad had a house pet for his fraternity that was and please remember, I was not even born at this point. But the fraternity house would not allow dogs or certain pets, but there was no stipulations on rabbits. And so he bought the biggest white rabbit he could, and he named it Rabbit Ely.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
And the thing was bigger than most, like, dogs that you could have had in there, because, like, he found it off a refuge, a wildlife refuge. Like, he just found this white rabbit, and the whole thing, he was like, he would just let it go, and it would shit everywhere, and he goes, oh, yeah, well, you got to chase the white rabbit.
Oh, Lord.
And it's like, you can't do that. You can't very, like, smart ass and then also name it Rabbit Ely. Like, nobody wants to chase Rabbit Ely down the hole. Like, because you know where that's going to end up.
Well, unless you've got a pig, Ulysses S. Grunt.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. I was going to say Abraham Lincoln. Right?
I'm behind. I can't even think of one. Are you all right?
Yes, I just don't want to scream to the microphone.
Go right ahead.
No, and
No, just back off when you do it.
emphatically
Yeah.
no.
I know, but sitting there, like, covering your mouth, I'm thinking you're going to projectile vomit or something.
Oh,
We
no,
were
no,
talking
no.
about that before the show.
Oh, no, I got to keep that in.
Yeah.
You'd be among the projectile vomit in here.
Well, yeah. So, but seriously, about the South, I mean, okay, so small town living, people would assume normally that, oh, well, you would have some fairly traditional insights and values, and all this would be pretty modest with your lifestyle, and yet you're this colorful party and man about town. So, like, what I'm wondering is, how did that all get started?
Shit. I mean, well, first of all, it got started from a very early age. Growing up, my sister, whom we said has only humor in naming horses, which I'm petrified of.
They're terrifying.
Yes, they're big dogs. Like, what are you going to do with that?
Absolutely.
I've never been out. Like, I've been out to her barn once or twice. I worked as a stable boy. I'm terrified of horses.
They can kill you on accident.
You know what? And because it is the season. Unfortunately, Hollywood Park is no longer in business. They closed down so we could get a football stadium over there. But
God bless 'em.
Santa Anita, you got to go to the track. Buck, I've known you for a while, and that's the reason I bring up Hollywood Park is I like to go to the track for the Derby, the Triple Crown races, but there was something just like sleazy and dirty and downtown bus stationy about Hollywood Park that there was no airs to it. You were going to gamble with degenerates and bet on the horses, and it was beautiful.
Are you trying to talk him into a gambling addiction?
No, I'm just saying it's a great way to get used to horses. Is go to the track,
hear
have
it
some
out.
drinks, drop a little cash. It's really easy to both lose money immediately, and if you win, recognize that there is no pattern to this. So it's. But for getting used to horses.
I mean, absolutely. And, like, that's the thing is I've tried, and yes, you're totally right. The only two addictions that I cannot pick up are smoking and gambling. I can't believe it. Like, those seems like the two things that I should be doing at all times. Like, I don't know how well, I mean, the only thing I gamble with is farts in my life.
Parts of your what?
In his life.
In my life.
Okay.
In my life. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Those are the only two things that I will gamble with.
Feeling lucky, punk.
Oh, yeah. And that's just a fart. Like, I mean, the thing I always say about farts is, like, I'll sit at the table, but I won't play. You gotta play it out. But, like, that was one of the things, like, growing up in the South, and so Betsy, whom we talked about, and this is where it's going to get maybe less fun for a second. Betsy, growing up, developed a rare form of liver cancer, and I think I was 11 at the time, and nobody could figure out what was going on. Like, I mean, we went to the Mayo Clinic, we went to the Mayo Clinic, we went to the Mayo Clinic, we went to 3 different Mayo Clinics, and you're not going to find a good doctor in Mississippi. I mean, no offense, you'll find good doctors in Mississippi, but you won't find a good specialist like this. And so I just kept getting pushed off, like, to different relatives, and, like, I mean, the only person in my family really that didn't